Hey everybody, so in this video and in this series, this is the first video of a multi-series of a basic Amazon FBA beginner course. If you could take a second, like, subscribe, you're going to want to save this playlist because this is going to go over everything that you need to get started and get up to at least $10,000 in sales per month. If you don't know who I am, my name is David. I'm an Amazon seller, full-time, a seven-figure Amazon seller, been selling on Amazon since 2021. I'm at David AMZ Hustle across all social media platforms. So follow me, message me, reach out to me. In this video, we're going to talk about the 30,000 foot view process of what is all involved in an arbitrage business. What is arbitrage? Softwares that you're going to need to know, that you will need to know. It's not an option. And then we're going to talk about common questions just to kind of go over what is arbitrage. There's 4 different ways to make money selling on Amazon. You can do retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, and private label. What we're talking about in this video and the whole series and pretty much most of the YouTube channel is going to be online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, and wholesale. That's where you go in stores or buy it online, or you buy directly from a brand or a distributor, and then you sell it for a higher price on a platform like Amazon. And so that's the basic overview that's the basic business of what is arbitrage. Let's get into the actual processes, because there's like 4 or 5, 6 different like buckets that you're going to need to know when you're moving forward in your Amazon business. Number 1 is going to be sourcing and finding profitable products. So you can do this in stores, you can do this online. There's different ways of reverse sourcing, storefront stalking. You can use Keep a Product Finder. You can source sales and deals. You can find replens. You can manually source. There's all kinds of different ways. What I like to look for when I'm sourcing products is some type of barrier to entry. Either something is gated that other people can't get ungated in as easily, like Nike and Adidas, or something that is hazmat, where I can sell hazmat, and we can talk about getting approved for hazmat later, but it's a process to go through it, and there's no really rhyme or reason of how to get approved for it. Things that are bundled, maybe things that are low profit that other people won't want to do, things that are in a grocery store that can't be shipped to people. You have to actually go into stores and get them. So things like that, there's different ways to source and find profitable products. The next thing is going to be receiving, prepping, packing, and shipping. You can either do this at your house, and I would advise you to do that at first so that you can kind of get the basics of what it takes to go through the process of packing, prepping, and shipping. You need to know what's happening with your items from when you buy them to when you ship them to Amazon and they're delivered to the customer. You need to know all that. The second way is to use a prep center, which I use both. I prep items myself, and I also use a prep center. A prep center is something that you're going to be able to ship the items to them yourself. Like I buy something online from Target, and I put it in a spreadsheet that say, hey, I bought this ASIN. This is the title. This is how many I bought. This is the price. This is the source. And prep centers have different processes that they go by, but mine will automatically use Inventory Lab to start creating a shipment for me. I don't have to create the shipment, but basically you just send the products to them and they prep the items for you. Like I said, I would suggest doing it yourself at first. There'll be supplies, and we're going to talk about supplies in a different video, but I'm just giving you the overview of this. Managing inventory and repricing. So this is going to be kind of like restocking and repricing. Once you get to around $15,000 to $20,000 a month, you'll probably have 15, 20 SKUs. And if you're not constantly repricing and being competitive, you might not get the buy box share as much. And there's different repricers that you can use. I use GoAura. As far as managing inventory, I like to actually use the Seller Central Manage Inventory, and we'll go in a different video. We'll talk about, in a different video, and as far as like managing inventory, I like to use the Seller Central, and in the different video we'll go over the basics of Seller Central and what to do there. I also use Inventory Lab, and I've used it since 2021. It's how I can kind of see the inventory that I have. It gives me an inventory evaluation, and I also use the unlisted inventory for the fourth thing is going to be account health. This is going to be really important, and finding profitable products is what's going to keep your business alive and keep your business profitable and going. Account health is probably higher than that, because if your account isn't healthy, if you're shipping things late, if you get bad customer feedback, the voice of the customer, if your account health rating falls below 200, if you're getting intellectual property complaints or authenticity complaints, or you're trying to sell restricted products, things like that, you can get bad marks against your record. So you don't want to have anything, like if you have an account health issue, it's something that I do every morning. I get into my account health and try to see if there's any problems or issues that I need to address. I actually have an IP, intellectual property complaint right now that I have to deal with. That's in another video of explaining how to deal with those and exactly what that is. But just know that maintaining your account health is the utmost priority in this business. And then finally, we got accounting and business management. So you have to know your numbers. Inventory Lab is what I use to know my numbers, a general overview of my numbers. There's other software that you can use. I believe ScanPower does shipping, and you can manage it gives you a simple profit loss statement. You could use Sellerboard. That's another one. Boxem is something that just come out recently. I use Inventory Lab for a lot of my accounting, my FBA sales. It's Inventory Lab. I'm going to do a tutorial on that, but like it's essential for my business. And you know, as far as like other accounting aspects of things, I have QuickBooks and I have A2X connected to QuickBooks to kind of pull all the fees out and separate the fees. And then I have an accountant that manages my QuickBooks and reconciles all my purchases, credit cards, all that once a month. I pay $300 a month for that. My first 2 years, I didn't do that. And then when I got an accountant, I had to pay $2,000 to catch up with everything that I hadn't reconciled. So managing your business and business management also with whatever LLC, like I go through tntap.gov to manage my LLC and pay and say that I haven't paid any sales tax for the month, to report that because Amazon collects the sales tax for me. So I just put 0. My franchise and excess tax, all that stuff. There's all kinds of, I would get an accountant that can help you with that, and a yearly accountant, and I would get a monthly accountant as well. Software that you're going to need to know. Super important. Keepa, you can't have a profitable business without Keepa. You're not going to have you're not going to know anything without Keepa. So what Keepa is that it's going to tell you all the data about a product, the price, category, rank, rating, the number of sellers, and it's going to tell you the history of this since it's been tracking. Keepa keeps track of 95% of all the listings on Amazon. There will be some listings that you find that you won't be able to say Keepa doesn't have any tracking for this, but for Keepa to be only, and I say the $20 a month because it is in pounds, so it's about like 18 pounds a month. It comes to $20 US dollars. But Keepa is worth so much more money than that, and also Keepa can show you how to find profitable products and stuff too. That's a more advanced video, but Keepa is something that you need to know and understand and be able to look at a Keepa chart and make a buying decision from it. Number 2 is SellerAmp, and there's other profitability calculators. I've used AZ Insight, I've used RevSeller, SellerAmp. They have a bunch of other ones now. Inventory Lab has their own, but SellerAmp is something that is a really good profitability calculator. It has a bunch of information right there. What's really, really cool about SellerAmp is that you can export the data that you have to Google Sheets. You can add notes, you can add the source URL. It's actually what I use to transfer anything that I buy or that I want to look at later, or that's out of stock, or if I'm sourcing a specific store and I just want the ASINs for that store, I can export it to a Google Sheet. SellerAmp is also going to have a ton of other features to do storefront stalking, and you got to have it. Let me make myself a little bit smaller here. Inventory Lab, you can list, ship, you can check product for performance, you can check category performance, you can check ASIN profitability. There's inventory valuation. I use the unlisted inventory feature to kind of, when I make a purchase, I record it in a Google Sheet, but I also have it in Inventory Lab. So when I go to ship, I can just type the name of something, ship it off. Inventory Lab, I've used it since 2021, February 2021. I couldn't run my business without it. It's that essential. Other competitors, Sellerboard, ScanPower, Boxem, that's what I mentioned before. Common questions: how much do I need to get started? So as you can see, the $70, $20, $20, so $110 a month. You also will need an Amazon professional account. So that's what, $40 a month. So you're looking at about $150 a month for the software that you absolutely need. As far as buying inventory, I would start with $1,000. That's what I would save my money up towards. If you didn't have that much, $500 is okay. You could start with books, but if you really want to just kind of hit the ground running, you're going to want to start with a little bit of capital. And I would say $1,000 is good to start with. In 2021, My initial like startup capital was $500, but I had $3,500 in savings. And once I spent that $500, I put the rest of the 3,000 other 3,500 into it, and that's what I started with. And then I flipped that all the way to 26,000 profit. My first year was 186,000. So I would take at least $1,000 to start. More if you had it. I wouldn't go into debt and get credit cards and loans and stuff like that until you had proof of concept and you got all those initial like buckets of the arbitrage process down of sourcing, shipping, managing inventory, accounting, all that. Once you have that down, then you can increase capital, and it's like putting in a quarter and getting back $1. The next question, how much time is required? However much you want. What I would suggest is let this take over your entire time. Do it all the time. Become obsessed with it. If you want to be great at something, you need to put in a lot of time to it. It's going to take a lot of reps. It's going to take, it'll be a lot of frustration at first of like not knowing what to do. And you're going to make mistakes, but like I would put in as much time, 2 hours a day is what I would do, and then maybe 4 on the weekends. That's how much time that I would put into this at first. Do I need a ton of space to start? You don't. You could start in the living room. However, once you get going, you will need a room or a dedicated space for this, 100%. Do I need to talk to Chinese suppliers? Absolutely not. What we do for the arbitrage process is we buy brand name products that we're approved to sell by Amazon, and the brand approves us because of how their agreement with Amazon and the reseller agreement that they have. Amazon can approve us for certain brands to sell. You don't need to talk to Chinese suppliers at all. Never have. Might eventually. What's the profit margin? So doing online arbitrage, you're going to be looking at between 10 to 20% margins, depending on. I mean, as you scale up, you're going to have to buy more profitable products, and you're going to have to spend more money. You will have to drop your buying criteria, your ROI or profit margin targets. So between 10 to 20%, 20% in the beginning. As you scale, you'll get a little bit lower. Retail arbitrage is going to be 15 to 25%, all the way up to 30%. Like I said, as you scale, you'll spend more money. You'll have to drop your buying criteria a little bit. Wholesale is going to be like 10 to 15% for that. How often do you get paid? You get paid every 2 weeks. Amazon will send you have a reserve account. So when you buy something, or when somebody buys something and it goes to your Amazon account, it will go to your reserve account, and the reserve account is just there to make sure that for any returns or anything like that you have, that will be covered if somebody returns a product or whatever the case is with anything that goes wrong with Amazon. Every 2 weeks you get a payout. Eventually, and this doesn't happen to everybody, it happened to me after about 2 years of selling, but I can get daily payouts, but I do payouts for myself on the 10th, the 20th, and the 30th of the month. How do I get approved to set a separate video? But basically what you have to do to get approved for products or categories is you have to buy 10 units from a wholesale supplier that's going to give you an invoice. And I know some people get around this by using places like Target or Ulta. I've used Ulta to get ungated in beauty, but I'm talking about places like Office Supply, Wieners LTD, Price Masters, EE Distribution, things like that. You got to buy 10 units. And it has to be for a specific product or category that you're gated in. So if you wanted to get ungated in Crayola, you could buy chalk from Office Supply, and then you'll find that same chalk listing on Amazon. And once you buy 10 units, you will get that invoice and you'll submit it to Amazon, and Amazon will say, hey, if you want to get approved for this chalk or this Crayola, we will need either a letter of authorization from brand, which 90% of the people can't get, or you'll need an invoice from a supplier that is at least 10 units, that is dated sometime recently, and it has all the supplier information. It has your information. You submit it for that ASIN, and sometimes it's for a specific brand, sometimes it's for a brand and a category, but that's how you get ungated. I heard FBA is dead. We hear that a lot, but there's 2,000 sellers that get on the platform every day. Not to say that all of them are going to be FBA or retail arbitrage or online arbitrage or wholesale, but I mean, people are making millions and millions and millions every day. Amazon fulfills 9 to 10 million orders a day. So, I mean, if you could get at least 100 to 150 of those orders yourself, you're probably going to have close to a $10,000 a month profit business. Is it worth it? Let's talk about this question for just a minute. So when somebody says, is it worth it? What I think is they want to get paid immediately and they're looking for an immediate return. Is it worth it? Like, if I put in the time, am I going to get something back? You're not guaranteed to get anything back. So I want to be clear, very, very clear with that. You're not guaranteed to get anything back. Is it worth it? It absolutely is, but it absolutely isn't. And it's the way that you look at it. And if you have this question, is it worth it? If you ask that, I would suggest that you go do something else, because you're going to you're going to not make a lot of money at first, at least, 3 to 6 months. Like, you're probably not going to be able to take anything out. And really almost the first year, you're not going to be able to take anything out. Like anything or any business, the initial startup is going to be really rough. It's going to be really rocky. You're not going to make a lot of money. If you want the is it worth it question answered, go get a job and you can go trade your hours for dollars and you can get an immediate return, and you can see that it's worth it by trading your dollars for hours, and you'll get a weekly paycheck. With a business, you're not guaranteed anything. Is it worth it? Yeah, it absolutely is. This is one of the last slides. I did want to address this because this is a big question. Do you need a business entity? You do not. To get started, you don't need a business entity. However, you will want to get a resale certificate or a tax exemption certificate from your state. This is going to help with avoiding paying taxes at places like Walmart, Best Buy, Target, Dollar General, things like that. And it's going to help you get set up with wholesalers to get ungated. Also, you will have to have some type of business entity. And when I say business entity, it doesn't necessarily have to be an LLC. You could do a sole prop, but you will need an EIN number from the IRS to get a tax exemption certificate, to set up a business bank account. I was a sole proprietor for 6 months, and then I converted to an LLC. The reason that I converted to an LLC is because I wanted to protect my assets. It's not really for tax purposes, but I will probably switch over to an S Corp here soon for tax purposes. But an LLC is going to protect you from your personal assets. So if you sell something on Amazon that is going to that hurts somebody or damages somebody, or somebody has to go to the hospital, or there's hospital bills, or they sue you, they can't take your personal assets. They can take everything in your business, but they can't take your personal assets. If you're a sole prop, they absolutely can. So you don't need it to start, but see what it takes to get an LLC in your state. It takes $300 in the state of Tennessee. You can set it up yourself, LegalZoom, or you can hire a personal, accountant for all that. And that is the video of Arbitrage Process Explained. Like I said, follow this. Make sure you save this whole series. This is going to be an introductory course to Amazon. This is actually the introductory course to a bigger course that I had, but I want to see other people succeed. And if you want to get into my paid group, I have a school community. It might be started by the time this goes live. It's not started yet, but I'm going to have a ton of other courses material in there. Do live calls, do ace and lotteries of giveaways of things that I'm selling. All kinds of other cool stuff. So yeah, get involved, get in the middle of the boat, and join the group. Make sure you're following the channel, and yeah, see you on the next video.